Welcome everyone here personally and virtually. I'm Dustin Angel, Program Director of Education. Before we start, is there anybody who's new who hasn't been introduced yet at a staff talk? Avery, have you? Anyone want to introduce her? Or do you want to introduce yourself?
Oh, I could.
I think it's just you.
No pressure. I'm a new plant ecology. So I started end of or beginning of June. So yeah.
Well, welcome to the talk. Before I introduce staff, I want to give you a little bit of a schedule here. We have something planned a little bit differently for the end. When we finish up, the West meeting room on that side has a summer camp, like a summer camp exhibit where we have pictures of kids and different artwork they've made. There's also a whole bunch of summer camp t-shirts. So if you had anything to do with camp, whether you were working with the kids or you were doing something behind the scenes, please get yourself, please get yourself a t-shirt. That would be wonderful. And then we put our, the snacks or the drinks are out on the picnic tables so that we can have our like social hour or whatever, where summer camp is, and right next to the garden. And that's primarily what Steph's gonna be talking about, is the garden that they put in. I also brought in homemade mead, so if you want to try some homemade honey wine. And Katie made some awesome brown butter cookies, which are really good chocolate. So we are here for Steph, and Steph is the 6th Jill Abrahamson Memorial Intern, which is pretty amazing. We used to always just have 2.5-month internships, but now we've had this, and so Steph has been here for actually 9 months, starting in October. And they're gonna talk a little bit about some of the regular responsibilities of a Jill Abrahamson intern, but then go into the pollinator education garden and how that related to summer camp and public events and all of that good stuff. But Steph went to UCF, and anybody who's spoken with them for more than 5 minutes probably knows that. I've never met anybody who loved Orlando more than that. So if you want to know about Goblin Market, hidden goblin markets and things like that in Orlando, you can talk to them. It was when I interviewed Steph, I just got this feeling like this is somebody who is just super excited about environmental education, who loves creating their own programs. Everybody who comes into the internship gets to do something. And it could be just augmenting something we're already doing or make something brand new. And even from the interview, you could tell like that Steph was somebody who was like, yeah, I like bugs and I like making up my own bug programming, which is what you're going to see here. This internship also, the idea is to hire somebody that is like ready to fly or almost ready to fly. And coming through with 9 months, they really get to be a part of all of the different things that an environmental educator does and get some professional development. So things like, I think there's 3 mini conferences that they went to, and did a fire for wildlife training as well. And already came knowing how to do a lot of things too. So that was really nice for us. Let's see, what else do I want to say? It's been really fun having them in the office. We listened to a lot of Chappell Rowan and Wicked and debate movies and politics and things like that. So it's been a lot of fun. And that's it. Okay, you're up.
Thank you so much. Yeah, be full screen. Awesome.
Maybe it'll say like you may have.
Cool. Awesome. As Dustin just said, and as all of you know, my name is Stephanie, and I'm going to be giving my seminar titled Rooting for Education. I want to begin with a roadmap of the things that I'm going to be talking about, 4 main sections, an introduction to my background, what I did before Archbold, the Jill Abrahamson Memorial Environmental Education Intern Bread and Butter, the community education, then move into my internship project, the garden, and then everyone's favorite thing, summer camp. Yippee. So before I came to Archbold, I went to the University of Central Florida. Go Knights! I was part of the UCF Arboretum. I was a co-head of our pollinator gardens and bee campus team, which means I worked with my lovely intern team up there to manage 5 pollinator gardens on campus. This is one of our 5 gardens. These gardens are a resource for insects in an urban environment and a resource for the campus community also on the UCF campus. We got to host volunteerships, education events, and even just fun community things in the garden to help educate the community. The combination of the habitat and the education had us become a Bee Campus USA, which is any college campus that is dedicated through their operations to fostering habitat for pollinators. All of these programs, the Bee Campus, the Pollinator Garden Team, and the UCF Arboretum were overseen by Dr. Patrick Bolin. Before he worked at UCF, he worked here as the director of the agroecology program for like over 10 years. So that's a fun connection. One more thing about my background is that I love teaching about bugs. I love teaching about environmental education, especially about bugs. So I was so excited to come to Archbold to do some community education. These are the different kinds of community education things that I got to do. Fancy way of saying I talked about Archbold a lot. I talked about Archbold when people came here from literally all over the world. During my first week, there was a university from Wales that came to visit for a multi-day field trip. I got to co-lead that, really awesome. And then dozens of Highlands County schools came to visit here, especially elementary school. 4th graders is really our bread and butter. Talk to them about the Florida scrub, where they're living, connect them from where they're living to like the nature of that place that they're growing up in. I also did tabling, where I sit at a table and I talk about Archbold. I tell people, have you heard of the ancient sand dune islands? And Katie, Dustin, and I together did this over 1,000 times at places like Bach Tower, Highlands Hammock, a homestead from the 1800s, all kinds of places. Another place that we just started going to this year with this specific type of programming are schools in Highlands County to talk about our Cora comic book. Last year, before my time, there was an avian ecology intern named Annika who developed a comic book about Cora, the Florida scrub jay. It talks about her life and the science of Florida scrub jays. The education program went into schools in Highlands County to talk about Cora, the comic book, and what was really cool is that we brought hundreds of comics books with us, so every student that we talked to got to take a comic about Cora the Florida scrub jay home with them, and that was really fun. All of this are things that all of the Jill Abrahamson education interns do, and when they show up, Justin and Katie say, you also get an internship project. You get to choose this. Stephanie, what would you like to do? And I said, I would love to make a garden, specifically a pollination education garden. I wanted to bring in the work that I did in my undergrad to Archbold for loads of reasons. I think it's really cool. I had a lot of fun doing it. I also saw it as a resource for the pollinators here and especially for our education programs. The garden here, just like the other gardens, are a place for hands-on learning. Students get to touch dirt, they get to touch grass, they get to touch flowers. They maybe, if they're lucky, get to see a bee visiting a flower up close, see what that's like, and connect to other students while they're in this space together. It's awesome. I was excited to do this, and when I came here, I saw all kinds of opportunities, both for education and for guidance to guide this garden. I want to talk about some of those guidance resources. 2 significant ones were the invertebrate ecology program. This is a pollinator garden, and Mark and Nancy know so much about pollinators and insects. They have a wealth of knowledge, and they were so friendly and ready to share it with me and just talk with me and get each other excited about this garden. A specific project of their program that I wanted to hone in on this garden is the pollinator network database. This database is decades of information. When a Archbold scientist observed a bug on a plant or caught this bug on a plant, they would also write down what plant that bug was on. All of these decades of data points come together to make this database. And in 2017, Dylan and a different Annika interpreted this data to create this visualization of the database. To quickly overview, explain it, all of the green circles represent plants in the Florida scrub, and the other colored dots represent insects. A line represents a relationship between them. This is an overview of the garden project. On my right, your left, is the conceptual concepts of the pollinator garden early plans. And then this picture is a picture that I took 2 days ago of what I think is a really pretty garden. So if this is an overview, that means we get to go into details. Yay, details! I'm gonna go over the months in order. In November, the garden existed as a metaphysical idea in Headspace. I got here in October. I decided I wanted a garden in November. It's just ideas right now. It's in my brain, it's in Katie and Dustin's brain, and we start getting it into other people's brains, like the conservation team, the plant lab, the bug lab, network, idea mind meld. We start making these early decisions. Where do we want the garden? This is a diagram of possible locations that we discussed in a meeting with the conservation team. One of our volunteers, Linda, had tested the soil in that location. So I got those results from her, found out that it's very basic from all of the disturbance that had happened. Knowing where we want the garden, what the soil is looking like, I was able to create a garden landscape plan. And I hear that I'm allowed to wander around, so I'll wander over to the plan. We know where we want the garden. We're thinking about what we want in the garden. When you're making a pollinator garden, it's important to have different families of plants to provide different resources. We have some Asteraceae in this golden circle. This is Coreopsis and Black-eyed Susans. We have Laminaceae in this centerpiece of American Beautyberry. We also have some pennyroyal. And then for Fabiaceae, we have partridge pea, and these hot pink circles are sunshine mimosa. Once we decided what plants we wanted, we selected the sourcing, and this is me envisioning how these plants are going to create that diagram. Moving on to December, we've sourced the materials, we get to break ground, we get to touch dirt. So exciting. This is me spacing the plants out evenly so that they have space to grow. This is us breaking ground. So exciting. Planting the pennyroyal. I'd like to point out, this is, no. Okay, no laser pointer for me. That's fine. Pink, 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 bonk. Awesome. No laser pointer, so I'll just point with my hand. That's some fertilizer. It was really basic soil, so that's acidifying fertilizer. Every time we dug a hole, we planted a little acidifying fertilizer to acidify the soil over time. That'll get fertilized over time as part of our management plan for this basic soil. This is Katie and I installing a fence that borders the garden. Dustin took the picture. Moving forward, it's the beginning of the new year. It's January, it's February, the garden is established. Now we are planning everything around the garden. The curriculum we're basing off of the garden, as well as partnerships, funding opportunities, things like that. I have at the top a very rough draft of an activity that I wanted to do. I just doodled it on some paper. Over time, I got this more refined diagram. This is pollination race. The kids are in teams to gather pollen, ping pong balls from flowers, cups. Inside of these cups, there's also some like paint mixed with soap, which is also pollen. This game teaches about pollen collection and pollen transfer between the flowers. They visit multiple flowers before they come back. I also, okay. Why? You know what? Cool. This green square, I applied for my very first grant, which was a great learning opportunity. It was extra great because we got the grant. We got $500 from Grow More Good, funded by Miracle Grow. That $500 is going to help fund the garden. I also applied to become a B campus partner, like UCF is. Archbold is now the first biological research station campus to be a bee campus partner. That's fun. Guys. It's an initiative of the Xerces Society, so it's even bigger than just campus. Yeah. March and April, the garden's there. There's programming around the garden. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than education. It's bigger than the Archbold bubble that I've been talking to. I need to talk to more people about my garden. Katie and I visit the Central Florida Butterfly and Pollinator Club meeting to talk with their club body. I gave a short presentation, but the real great part of it was the discussion that we had after of these people have decades of pollinator garden knowledge that we got to discuss and share. I got great guidance from them, as well as talking about Archbold to some other people talked about earlier. I love talking about Archbold. That wasn't good enough. I had to talk to more people about it. So I created a public event, which was the grand opening of the pollinator garden, Pollinator Palooza on April 26th. I gave a short presentation in here, and then we moved outside for pot painting and entomology education inside. The entomology education, got a really cute picture out of it. It's like a toddler looking in a microscope at some bugs. It's just so precious, you guys. And I think everyone had a lot of fun. But not as fun as summer camp. It's summer, so it's summer camp. Summer camp using the pollinator garden. When we started the pollinator garden, we knew that we wanted to use it in all kinds of education programs, including this year's summer camp. I gave some lessons. The yellow square is me telling the kids that there's over 1 million species of bugs, because there's over 1 million species of bugs, you guys. And a bunch of little kids know that, and now you guys know that there's over 1 million species of bugs. The pink squares are us using the garden as a tool. I'm showing off an Earth Star mushroom right there. Very thoughtful face from that kiddo up there. These are kids using containers to catch bugs. They're so brave, you guys. They'll take a container, walk up to the garden, and catch a bee or even a wasp in the container, and then hold it right up to their face and get to see a bug up close. They get to see the pollen sacs on the back legs of a bumblebee. You're like, what's that? That's pollen. And then they get to play the game. It's awesome. These are kids. We also had bug nets where they would catch insect with the net and then put it in a little vial, like this little vial. Bumblebee in here, little kid that's like this freaking tall, you guys, right up to their face, getting to look at a bug up close. Awesome, magical summer camp. Let me put this vial away. Keep it safe. Awesome. So the theme of Ecology Camp this year was bugs, insects, pollination, etc. The curriculum was guided by Archbold entomology research, specifically this diagram that you guys have seen before. This pollinator network database diagram, idea, knowledge behind it. We wanted to interpret this database into ways that the kids could get involved with it and it be accessible to them. The logo of the summer camp that you've been seeing forever, peep it. This is a bumblebee, Bombus impatiens, and all of these symbols represent plants that the database show that the bumblebee is reliant upon. So this is Palafoxia, partridge pea, elephantopas, and barbaria. This bee relies on all of these plants, and all of these plants are in the Archbold Pollination Education Garden. Another way that we got them involved with this science is that we had them do the science. This is one of the activities that we had at summer camp. This was printed out and framed very large and then placed near the garden so that every time a camper observed one of these bugs on one of these plants, we would write a tally. And the kids loved this. They felt like scientists because they were scientists. They were doing the science that Archbold scientists do. The conclusion that we came to was that bumblebees especially love the partridge pea. So this was the most populated area of the chart. More really fun summer camp stuff. I'm gonna let you look at pictures and take a sip of water real quick. This yellow square is campers playing that pollination race game. They're racing. They're so excited to be bees getting the pollen. I talked about the paint, the goop that represented pollen inside of these cups. This is a scan of the petals that surrounded the cups. You can see how the pollen ended up on the flowers, and there's multiple colors on each of the petals to represent the pollen moving from flower to flower. After this activity, we had a debrief of how this represents pollination, and pollination results in the food that we eat. This is what I want to call a case study, these green pictures. This is Cora, one of our summer campers. Cora has been coming to Archbold Summer Camp since she was 7 years old. When she showed up, she was afraid of grass. She was afraid of bugs. She did not like the outside. So this was before my time. The next year, she was a little bit more comfortable. This year was her 3rd year. As part of summer camp, Dustin has a photography project where we have the kids envision themselves as scientists. They draw themselves as scientists, they write about themselves as scientists, and then at the end of the week, they get a portrait of themselves as scientists. Cora drew herself as an invertebrate ecologist in what I think looks a lot like the pollinator garden. Cora wrote that she chose to study bugs because she loves bees and butterflies. And then in her portrait that we can see right here, Cora is holding one of those vials that I showed you with a bumblebee that she caught herself. She was so proud of herself. She caught this bumblebee, she put in one of those vials, she got to see it up close, and then she got to take her picture with it. I think this and all of these to show the garden and the camp, it's getting these kids involved with nature and science and everything that we do at Archbold. I want to thank literally everyone. I'll give a couple of special shout outs, Dustin and Katie for being silly and goofy with me, all of the interns for living with me and the RAs as well. Invertebrate Ecology for talking with me and being so friendly, the conservation team for getting me thinking like big picture with this garden, even Chris for creating this internship for me and meeting with me and being excited about the work that I'm doing, the CNC working group for creating a culture that helped me belong and helped other people also feel like they belong, Dr. Patrick Boland, and literally everyone, including all of the bugs that visited my garden. I like this big hairy bug right here. He's a hispid cotton rat. We got a cloudless sulfur caterpillar, a bumblebee, and a funky little guy. Yay! Sawhouse.
That was one of the best presentations I've seen in art.
It's a lot.
What are the hardest part in this all?
The hardest part was getting everyone on the same team sometimes. Archbold has so many guidance opportunities and resource opportunities, but then that's also a lot of input to get and then a lot of making sure I'm doing everything right. There was one time that we put plants in the garden that were Florida native, but they weren't native to the Lake Wales Ridge, and we want the garden to be an example of what you can see out there on the ancient sand dune islands. So we had to take those plants out, and that was a little disheartening. Another hard part is a lot of these plants I sourced myself, like the American Beautyberry, or I went out and got some Garbaria. The American Beauty had a 100% success rate. The Garbaria did not. So that was a little sad to see it peter away. Yippee. Awesome. Dustin.
Talk about this bee that's flying from the Archbold logo.
This represents me and what I'm going to be doing. I'm at Archbold right now, but I will soon leave on Wednesday. And then I will be going to the Sitka Sound Science Center, which is another biological research station. We call it our sister station because our education programs collaborate. That's how I found out about this station. And I will be going there to do another environmental education internship through AmeriCorps for a year.
Yay.
Awesome.
I'm gonna see if there's any questions.
Oh, no.
So I have a question.
Chance.
Yeah, do you have, any sort of plan for the future of this garden? Do you have any like management instructions that you can pass on?
I do. I have a master document that I made that is accessible to Katie, Dustin, and one of our volunteers, Renee. Renee has committed to coming here once a week as she is newly retired or going to be. So she's really excited to have a project to keep her busy and connect her with the community. She's newly moved to Lake Placid. So this will give her a chance to connect with nature and with like the Archbold community as well. Abby.
What is your favorite bug that you saw in your garden?
It's the bumblebee. I'm so happy that the bumblebee is the logo. And the kids also love the bumblebees. Like they were afraid of them at first because it's like a big, loud insect. But they would see that I would catch them with my hands and then they weren't afraid anymore. And then the kids would catch them with their hands and be like, oh my gosh, it's a bumblebee. Yeah, I love them. Yes.
Any plans that were on your list that you had to have that you just didn't get that might need to be added later?
Yeah, I love spotted bee balm, Monarda punctata. It's so really like it's really, really pretty. We had it in the UCF pollinator gardens and bumblebees love it. And it's very hardy. It's also called horse mint because like horses will chew on it. And it's great. It's awesome. Maybe.
Okay, I'm giving people a second, because I can't see the Q and
Yeah.
A. So I've asked if anybody has questions online to put them in the chat
Okay.
rather than the Q and A button. I know this goes against everything I've ever taught you.
Anecdote then, while we're waiting, probably tell Steph's kind of a rock star. And when we were at the schools, they would do like crowd work with the kids. And then Steph would get compliments at the end, like kids would come up and be like, "You're so pretty." And then they had Steph sign all of their Quora comic book.
I do.
Yeah.
Abe. How will the garden be maintained and used going forward? Love your enthusiasm for bugs. Thank you so much, Abe. The garden will be maintained through volunteer efforts like the UCF gardens where we have intern Renee who's committed to once a week coming and just hanging out with us, spending time. I've had multiple meetings with her already to identify, like get her familiar with the garden, etc. And she's so excited to start like weeding, mulching. She has the mulching in the garden is pine needles for a bunch of different reasons. And she has some some pine forest near her house that she's gathering needles from and bringing. She's already brought 3 bags here. So when we go out there, there'll be like pretty nice mulch in there from Renee. Yeah. And then as far as programs go, we chose that location because it's right next to where we set up base for field trips and summer camps. So we can incorporate it into both of those moving forward. I'm sure the kids will love to catch bugs in that garden specifically, even when it's not bug themed summer camp. They love catching bugs, those little kids. Cool. How do I end an intern seminar?